if you go sit at a jackpot on a horse and you have a rope in your hand, you can like go stand where everybody's standing, and anybody that rides up is going to talk to you.
Exactly.
And I mean, there's a very small handful that don't, but like you don't want to be with those people anyway.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ramblin Rodeo podcast. I am so excited for this episode. I've gotten so much messages, so many comments, so much reactions that I didn't really expect, but I'm glad that I've got them. This is PJ Bryant. Thank you so much for joining the show today.
Oh, absolutely. There's nowhere else I'd rather be.
Well, before we start the podcast, I'm going to start with prayer because that's what I like to do for this podcast. I think it's the best way to guide us in everything that we do.
I appreciate that.
God, to thank you for allowing me to be able to do this podcast today. God, to thank you, God, that I'm able to do these, God, and the ability to be able to do these the way that I do them. God, I praise you and thank you for all that you do. God, I pray that you guide this conversation today. Guide your words, let my words be your words. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
All right. Well, today, let's kind of start off with a little bit about the background of you. Let's talk about growing up a little bit.
They're so I don't even know where to start. There's so much.
Uh,
I was just telling a friend the other day about something. Like I said that I'm an onion, and he was like, "No, you're not an onion." I'm like, "No, not like a stinky one. Like there's just layers and layers and layers."
right.
So I grew up on a ranch in Southwest New Mexico. We ran about 400 head. It was just me, my mom, and my dad. They were school teachers. My mom was a school teacher. My dad was a principal. So they had full-time jobs and ran a ranch at any moment that they possibly had time. They always tell people that they had to teach so that they could ranch because that was, at least a steady income. And especially in Southwest New Mexico, just a few miles north of I-10, it's pretty barren.
Yeah.
But that's where everything started. I mean, we moved there when I was 6, and my dad sold it when I was 17. And I mean, which wasn't a long time, but those were like the most developmental years of my life, right? Where we live now, everybody's like, well, you have so much land. And I'm like, I have 10 acres. That is nothing. Like, there's no land here.
Right.
I was just telling someone the other day that like, I'm so frustrated. I don't have anywhere to ride my colts. I can't put miles on them on 10 acres. My folks have more land than I do, but still, even then, I'm like, I have nowhere to ride because when I was a kid, I would just get on my horse and there was this straight stretch of land that was 2 miles, like straight down the road, 2 miles, and it was flat. So whenever I wanted to go breeze my horse, I just would, take off, and that's how he got in shape. And now I don't have that luxury. First of all, I live kind of in a mountainous area now.
Right.
So there's no flat place that has not a vast amount of rocks. But that's where it all started. And like I spent I don't know how many days and hours horseback, just and that's where the roping journey began.
That it kind of sounds similar, like for us when we first started, we thought when we look at someone roping, we're just like, man, that looks easy. Like that's what I want to do. Like, and
Right.
then you get into it and it's like it is a whole nother world. And for us, but back then we didn't have a lot of land. I mean, I say we didn't have a lot of land, but most of the land that we had buildings on it. And so I
Right.
remember we had a not even a mile. It was like this little stretch through the woods, and we still have it, but like it's all grown up with grass now. A little stretch through the woods, and we would just like we would run. It's like not even a mile, and we would just run horses and run back and forth. And we were like, this is
Yes.
like making the best out of what we had in that time. And then I mean now we have more land and we're able to do more, but making the best out of what we had in that time, I think is important. It sounds like that's what you have to do as well.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I miss it so much. Like where we live now is way more pretty. It's way prettier. Like it's way more beautiful here. But I mean, I just miss that lifestyle. I miss being able to get on my horse and like go and
Right.
not see a person, not see, anything. Like I could just go and do whatever I wanted. I mean, like I would just tell my mom, "Hey, I'm gonna go ride," and she'd be like, "Okay, see you later." I would just be gone for hours at a time. Like I don't know how she let my little 10-year-old self just go, but I
Right.
did, and I
Right.
miss it so bad.
Yeah, and that's kind of the same way because when we would go down the road, like the highway, like I'm
Yeah,
quite a few cars, and I mean, we would just take horses and we would go miles, and I'm just before we had land and before we had anything, that's just what we had, and we just made the
right.
best
Yeah.
of it just with what we could do. So let's kind of talk a little bit about. So you were there for a little while, sold that when you were 17. So what happened after that?
So when my dad sold our place, we moved to the booming metropolis of Cliff, New Mexico. And population 280, I think, is what it was the last census. So we moved up here, and at that point, I was just bound and determined to be a basketball player. And in the state of New Mexico, Cliff is known for basketball. So we moved up here. I high school rodeoed my junior year, and then after my junior year, I signed a letter of intent to play basketball at Eastern New Mexico University, and I quit rodeoing, took the basketball journey. One of my biggest regrets in life. I will never, ever advocate for anybody to play college basketball. Like, don't do it. Like, it was not a positive experience. I mean,
Right,
I'm glad that I did because now I have that knowledge and
right,
everything, but I wish I would have kept going with the horse situation like it was. And then, but
right.
here we are.
Well, I feel like I've missed something. I thought that it was after you moved that you started rodeo, but it sounds like you were doing rodeo before y'all moved as well.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, no, I rodeoed like all the time. Like I did all the junior rodeos, the 4-H rodeos, and then I high school rodeoed my freshman and sophomore and junior year. And then like we moved, like I said, my junior year, we moved up here. And after that year is when I quit. I didn't rodeo or rope or anything. I guess college rodeoed the second semester of my freshman year at college. I roped breakaway. But then after that, like the rest of college and then there for a while, I quit, which like I said, that's my number one regret right
right,
there. The biggest thing was when I moved back home after I graduated and I was teaching and stuff. I moved back home, and that's when I was like fully immersed, ready to go be a team roper again.
right. Wow. Let's go back just a little more. When you're starting, your parents, did they rodeo any?
My dad did. My dad college rodeoed at New Mexico State in the 70s. My mom did not. My mom like took English riding lessons, Western riding lessons, like in the show discipline.
Right,
So she absolutely knows how to ride a horse way
right.
better than we do, like more correct than us. My dad was the rodeo guy. He was a bulldogger. He like went to all the amateur rodeos after he graduated college and like roped calves and stuff. So he's where that came from. That's where that part came from.
I got it. And so you're a team roper, man. I love team roping. I'm a team roper myself. Like it's a big thing for sure. Why
We're
team roping?
gluttons for punishment, aren't we?
Right. Why team roping? I mean, team roping's one of those events that's like it's got that gray area. It's like it's
Right.
a lot of guys do it. Is what I'm trying to say. When you see
Yeah.
women in rodeo, you typically see a barrel racer or a breakaway roper, and it's the same way. Sometimes you'll see guys barrel racing or breakaway.
Right. Right.
Nothing wrong with either, but why team roping? You mentioned you did breakaway. What led you away from that?
I didn't have a horse. Yeah, that mostly was it. And like I mean at that point like I was on a teacher's salary. I couldn't afford a horse, so I rode whatever my dad had, which was team roping horses and horses that we'd raised and stuff. And that was what he did on them. I was never much of a barrel racer anyway. Like I ran barrels in high school for my freshman year, and then after that I quit. The horse I high school rodeoed on, he was a pole horse and a breakaway horse. I mean, that was it. But I was high school rodeoing on him when he was 20 years old. So by the time I moved back, he was already, you know, 30 by then. So that was the main reason there. But even now, like I try to like I'll go to a barrel jackpot here every year or so, like just to go see. And hot dang, dude, I can't even like I'm like out there feeling like I am smoking, right? And then I like cross the timeline, they're all 23.64. And I'm like, what? That was clearly a 15. Your
Yes.
timer's wrong.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Uh,
Yes. But you sunbreaker, but you're primarily a team roper. Is that heading or healing?
I head. My dad tells me that why screw up a good thing and try to learn how to heal. But at the same time, like, I mean, I think every team roper goes through it at some point in their roping career where they're like, man, I just want to try the other side. Like, I want to back in the other
Yes.
box. And he's like, no, you're good at what you do. Don't change. Like, stop.
Right.
And I'm like, but Dad, you have changed back and forth like 500 times. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's all do as I say, not as I do, right?
Right.
Like,
Even me, like there's been a few times in the pen like where I rope my brother and I'll go and I miss the steer and he'll throw his heel loop and catch a head and I'll refix my head rope and then I'll
yes,
go around and heel it and it's just like, man, we should switch up and then he gets excited and then we'll run steers while I'm heeling and it's just people love
yeah,
switching, I think. Switching
yeah.
up
No,
just a little bit.
I love it. Every year here in my hometown, they have a cancer benefit roping.
Right.
And like all the benefits go to our local cancer center in Silver City.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps, like all the proceeds go to local people going through cancer treatment. So I always enter, and then it's in October every year. And so they always have like an all girls roping.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, there's, like you said, in team roping, there's not that many women. So it's always like a round robin, basically.
Right.
And well, you end up roping both ends and whatever. Well, last year I ended up second healing.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like, see, Dad, see, I could be a healer. And he was like, no, no.
That's what I felt like with my healer with Ty, my brother. I caught the heels and he's like, that was a terrible. I caught both, didn't I? That was a terrible loop, he said. I
Yeah,
caught
you're like, who cares?
exactly.
This isn't the futurities. We're not judging on technique here.
Exactly. So you team up for a while, but kind of got out of breakaway and barrel racing. It wasn't really your thing. You had your dad's horses, and that seemed like it was your thing. Was it? Did you get a lot of lessons team roping? Was your dad teaching you, or how was that?
Oh my gosh. It has been literally a lifelong struggle. Like, I mean, since I was a kid and was learning how to breakaway, which I mean, I learned how to rope in the branding pin, right? Like, that was where I learned how to swing a rope and do all of those things. Because like I said, it was just me, my mom, and my dad. And I mean, we would get help from like neighbors and stuff like that whenever we'd brand, but a lot of times it was just the three of us. And my dad always did the branding. So, and my mom didn't rope because my dad told her one time, you rope like a girl. And so she never did it again. And so, yeah, and I'm the one that's like, say that again. I'll prove you wrong. You know what I mean? And so that's where I learned how to rope. And it was always my dad teaching me, which I mean, he's done every bit of studying on how the, form, technique, delivery, all of it. It's been a lifelong struggle because we'd go over to friend's house to rope and this, that, and the other. And he'd be like, don't listen to that guy. If whatever he tells you, just nod your head, say, yes, sir. Don't listen to him. You
Right,
listen to what I tell you, and that's it.
right.
And I remember one time when I was a kid, I was probably, I don't know, 12 or 13 years old. This guy came over. They had the ranch that neighbored ours. He was supposed to teach me how to breakaway like properly because my dad calf roped, which breakaway is different, right? Like there's different things and whatever. And man, my dad had gone back to the house to get something, and I don't even know what now, but the guy was like, I pulled my slack because I had team roped before. So I pulled my slack like I was going to dally, and he lost his whole mind and like cussed at me, screamed at me, all this stuff. And he's like, you're going to cut off your bleepity bleep hand if you keep pulling your slack like that. And I got off and I walked back to the house. I passed my dad. He was walking back to the arena. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, he cussed at me. And I just went to the house. I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to listen to this. Which is funny now because I'm a team roper, and like, what team roper do you know that does not have a potty mouth? You
That's
know
what I'm
what I
saying.
mean? Like,
Everyone.
but, but little 12-year-old me, it was like, sure,
Right.
tough on those guys.
And sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it'll change your life getting yelled at, getting yelled and cussed out. I promise
Yeah,
it will.
I swear. Yeah.
So that's kind of where you learned your roping. And I seen, we're gonna jump a good bit, but I seen you went to Vegas.
I
How
did.
did you go
I
to
did.
Vegas?
Oh my gosh. So I've been trying for like, I don't know, the past like 6, 8 years to get qualified. And the past 2 years, I've been roping with the guy that I roped with in Vegas, Troy. We've been roping, we go to a couple, 2, 3 World Series ropings a year and just hadn't quite made it. Like the like two, last year, we were like half a second out of making the short round. And we were like, we're so close. And so, last January, I got to go to a Charlie Crawford clinic and he asked all of us like what our goals for the year were. And I told him, I was like, to qualify for Vegas. That's
Mhm.
my goal. So we went to a Memorial Day roping. We got three down. He legged our second one. No big deal. Like wasn't worried about it. Whatever. We were still pretty good with the leg. He's like, man, if they'll just if they'll open that door, we might can get in the short round. And I was all, shoot it, they'll just leave it open a crack. I'll put my foot through there. We'll just
Yeah.
whatever. And so we made the short round. I think we were like, I don't know, 12th or 13th call, somewhere around in there. And we ended up, shoot, I think we were like 40 on four. I mean, not great, but like not horrible either. And in the short round, and like, so I had to sit through, like all the rest of the callbacks. I'm
Right.
sitting at the back end of the arena, and like Troy and I are sitting there. No, we had to be lower than 12th because it was a long time we had to wait. Like maybe, shoot, I don't remember what callback we were, but it was like we had a lot of callbacks ahead, like to rope still. And we were sitting back there, and my friend Toby rode up and he was like, PJ, one more and you're gonna get pull a check. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, whatever. And shoot, the first top three callbacks missed. And then I mean the others had lagged. We ended up fourth. I'm like sitting at the back end of the arena with my partner, my friend Toby, and I'm like crying. I'm like, my dad's not here. Like my folks, the one roping they don't go to,
Right.
right? And I'm like, I just want my dad. And I didn't have my phone, like, because I don't ever carry my phone. I've decided it's bad luck. I don't carry it. Leave it in the truck or leave it with somebody. I'm like, I'm not carrying my phone.
Right.
And there's a superstition right there, right? Like team
Right.
ropers all have superstitions, and that's mine. I'm all, don't carry my phone, don't have it.
Really?
So we finally get back, and I see my friend Shacey, and I'm like, can I borrow your phone? I need to call my dad. I'm still crying, like we qualified, and I mean that was all I wanted for the whole year. And I was
Right.
like, dang, I can't I couldn't believe it. Like I mean, still I just roped up there like a month ago and I'm still like, dang, that really
Right.
happened.
Right. How did you do in Vegas?
Not good. No, it was crazy. It was the craziest thing. So like I had been a few times. Like I'd been to Vegas and like gone and watched and whatever. And then a couple years ago, I went with a guy I was seeing and he was roping. So like I knew where all the arenas were. I knew how it all worked. I knew
Right.
the layout, everything like that. But man, when you get there, it's a whole different ball game. Like
Really.
it is like nothing I've ever been to. And I mean, I kept telling myself it's just another jackpot. It's just another jackpot. It's four steers. That's all. It's four steers.
Right.
And so I'm like, whatever. So I roped an outside roping on Thursday, and then Friday I roped in the finale. Well, Thursday I waved it off my very first year, like little short horned thing. And I was like, man, okay. So even before I even rode in the box in the finale, I was like still in the warm up arena. And then I hear the tractor in the third steer arena. And I was like, I wonder where they're at in the first arena. Cause I was like the
Right.
seventh out on the rotation. So I was like, I wonder where they're at. So I ride over there. Well, they announced that they're like team 560. I'm team 563, and I'm not even at the correct end of the arena. Yeah. And so, like, you go in this like tunnel thing, like, you go in and then you have to go under the grandstands, right? Well, I like go in this tunnel and like are like fry bread, we gotta go, buddy. Like, so I like lope down the whole alleyway to get down there. And right as I come out from under the stands, like to the boxes, 562 rides out. Like, I mean, I cut it that close. And my eyes must have been this freaking big because Troy, my partner, was like, just take a deep breath, PJ. It's okay. And I was like, okay, we're here.
Right.
I again, I drew a little short horn thing and I'm like, I am not missing this steer. Like I am not waving it off the first one.
Right.
So, I mean, I roped him, but I let it fall over his nose. I mean, it would have been fine. If I'd have just pulled my slack, it would have been fine. But I let it fall over his nose and had him around the neck, and he roped a leg. No big deal, whatever. So we go rope our second one. We were clean on that one. We were like a 9-3, I think, something like that. Then we get to the third arena. Like they were still plowing like that, or they were still dragging the arena. That's how fast it goes. Like it's that,
Wow.
like boom, boom, boom. So we're like waiting and we rope our third one, and like the steer kept getting his horn stuck in the chute. And so I was like waiting for him to get his head up because I didn't want to nod like while he had his horn in the chute. Well, I'll be danged if I nod and the turd sticks his horn in the chute. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh,
And
wow.
so I broke out by 0.09.
Oh,
I'm
my
like, that's
goodness.
not even a breakout. Just pretend it didn't happen. And so anyway, so I break out, and of course Troy's like trying to make up time because he's already legged, and I now we have another 5 second penalty, and he missed our third one. But oh my god, it was so fun.
I couldn't imagine. Like, I don't know. I'm a couple teams away, running, trying to get my rope ready, making like if I'm
Oh,
at a team open, I want to at least make sure I want to make sure everything's tight. I want to be there 20 minutes early just watching. You know what I
oh,
mean?
yeah, me too. And like I that was what I'm like, I don't know what I was doing off in La La Land. Like I don't know what I was doing because I usually am the person that's there. I want to be there 5 teams before so I can watch the start, whatever. It was like the most stressful thing, but I don't
Wow.
know. That now I'm like my heart is pounding just thinking about it. You can't even imagine how many times I have dreamed about loping down that stupid alley. Like,
At least you caught, you know? At least you didn't go out and
yeah,
miss.
that's what, well, I knew I wasn't gonna miss. Like after I
Yeah.
waved it off in the outside roping, I was like, I am not gonna miss another steer up here. Like,
Right.
period, end of story, not happening.
So that roping was only one day, right? It was just,
Yep,
so
yeah.
how long were you in Vegas?
We got there Wednesday and we left Saturday morning.
Oh, nice. Nice. You got to spend a little bit of time. Was that during the NFR?
Yeah, we didn't go at all to the NFR. I've been like one of my dad's best friends. Like they were best men in each other's weddings, kind of deal. His dad had seats because he was instrumental in the NFR when it was in Oklahoma City, and so he had a row of seats behind the buck and shoots every
Hmm.
year. And then when they moved it to Vegas, he was like grandfathered in or whatever. Like that was our family vacation when I was a kid. Like from the time I was 7 till, whenever we would go to Vegas every year. So I'm like, yeah, the rodeo's the rodeo. I don't,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
yeah, like whatever. I'd rather sit and watch it at the South Point and like watch team roping all day than watch the NFL.
Oh my goodness. I got to go to Vegas a couple years ago for the first time, and that was a lot of fun. You can definitely get kind of distracted and get pulled 100 different areas, especially during
Oh
the
my gosh.
Christmas. Oh my goodness. That was like, I could have been there for a whole week straight just looking around. Like, if
Oh yeah, and you'd still not see everything
I know. And like if we did not fly over there, I would have spent so much money.
because you
I
can't take
would have
it
been
back with you.
in so much trouble. Oh my gosh. And
Yes.
if we drove to Vegas, if we would have drove to Vegas, we would have been loading the truck up with stuff I would have bought. But I can only
Oh
buy
my
stuff for
gosh.
once. But I was like, oh my goodness. It was the coolest experience ever. Like we got to meet cool people, we got to go see things, and like it was just like you got
Yes.
100 directions in Vegas.
Yeah, there's just so much.
Right,
Like it's so hard to take in. And I'm glad that I got to go as a kid so that it wasn't like shell shock as an adult. You know what I mean?
right.
Like I don't even like going to the grocery store because there's too many people. So like
Mhm.
Cowboy Christmas is way too much for me. Like I'm
Right.
like over processed like to the nth degree.
Did you get to stay in South Point, or where did you get to stay for that?
So actually, we qualified Memorial Day, and I tried to get in the South Point. They ended up already booked full, so we ended up at the Grandview. I will never stay at the South Point ever again as long as I live. The Grandview is like the best place to
Really?
stay while you're in Vegas, like ever. Yeah, like I mean, it's like you have like a whole apartment, right? So I got 2 rooms, and I mean, it was just like freaking outstanding. Like it was the best thing ever. They have like kitchens, a washer, dryer, shower. They had a giant jacuzzi tub. I'm like, this is the
Wow.
life. I'm never leaving. Like you get to rope all day, watch roping all day, and live like this. I'm never leaving.
Yeah, that's cool. The thing about South Point is we were just looking around to go to Vegas this year. And in it was like February or March. We tried to look for South Point tickets for the dates, booked. Like I think that at South Point, it's like they got their certain people that they just know, like go ahead and reserve for the next year. But at South Point, that you ain't getting in. Like
No,
this is
it's
why
crazy.
we kind of talked a little bit about your rodeo. How in the world did you get into social media as well as like like for me, like I do podcasts and stuff, being in front of a camera when I first started, like being able to interview people, like I could do this all day. I'll do it all week. I have so many podcasts to film this week. Like doing this, I can do this, I can do this. But having a phone and sitting here like recording myself, that is hard for me. Like just talking to myself. How was that hard for you? How did you get into it?
Honestly, like I don't even know. Like I've always been like, I mean, I've been on Instagram and Facebook like since it became a thing, you know what I mean? So like I was already used to like posting stuff or whatever, but I don't even remember like what started my whole social media journey, I guess you could call it. But I do know like what got it like rolling is I made this stupid I had COVID, okay? And I made this stupid video pretending like I didn't know some of the most popular early 2000 songs. I was like, I don't know. And that video went stupid viral, like stupid viral. And I'm like, why? I had COVID. Like I looked
Yeah,
like death. And I don't even remember like so I guess I don't know if I can say this or not, but like Dale Brisby was like kind of an inspiration ish, you know what I mean?
right,
And I thought like there's no one on the team roping side of this. Like he does all of like the ranching and the like rough stock stuff. I'm like, I don't ever see team ropers making fun of team ropers.
right,
I mean, if you sit at a jackpot long enough, team ropers only make fun of team ropers. You know what
right,
I mean? Like they're
right.
the most sarcastic people in the whole rodeo industry. So I'm like, and so I made a video one day like talking about the main one that like got me going was that I made like you can't be a team rope like I was saddling my horse and I have a whole bunch of stupid crap on my saddle, right? I
Right.
had like the twist ties off a rope tied on like twisted onto the
Yes.
D-ring and like just stupid stuff and that was like where it like started
Mhm.
and then I just didn't quit. Like I just kept going. And I don't like that was just like what got the ball rolling. And I mean, people are like, it's relatable, and that's what makes it funny. And I'm like, it wouldn't be funny if it wasn't relatable.
Right. It's like every video you release, I'm like, I feel like I just went through this last week. I feel like I just had this conversation last week. I just was at the roping pin thinking this last week. Oh my gosh, every single one. I'm like sending to people. I'm like, it is
Oh,
great. So, so but
that makes me so happy because that's the goal.
you ever like, are you ever filming and you're just like, you ever do like a whole bunch of takes on a video?
Oh yeah,
A lot.
a lot. But like, and then like, so my dad asked me this just literally last week. He was like, "Where do you come up with this crap?"
That's what I was just about to ask
And
you.
yeah, he and I seriously like well, so I'm sitting here in my reading chair and I'll be sitting here reading some like a novel about the end of times or something, and, and I'll be like, you know what? Somebody said one time 15 years ago that if you want a handle, go buy a shovel. And then like that'll like spark something. I honestly, it's probably my unmedicated ADHD, but like these things like this will pop into my head, and I'm like, let me go outside and video, like record this, or
Right,
yeah. And I mean that's how it goes. My dad's like, you don't write this down. Like maybe you should write your ideas down. I'm like, no, because then if I write them down, they're gonna be in some random notebook that I don't know where it is.
right.
Like I just found last night I sat down and I was writing down like what I needed to do for the week at work
Hmm.
and I like tried to flip to an open page, but I found this page that I wrote in there and it says you might be a team roper if and then I had listed things. I don't know when I wrote that. I've never made that video. I'm like, where what was I doing? Like why didn't
Right,
I record that?
right. For me, like, I first of all, I don't know how you're even able to film. like film talking to myself. Like if there's anybody around me, it is hard for me to like film on my phone. Like there'll be applications or something that I'll do and like they'll want a video of me
Yeah.
talking. Like or I'll like do like we do YouTube videos for our personal family and like I'll just try to video for that. And it's just like, oh my gosh. Like even videoing around people, like someone walks by, I'm just like act like I'm not videoing, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
like that same
it's
type of
embarrassing, right?
even though you're about to post it on social media, share it to a bunch of people. I don't know. It's just something about sitting there videoing yourself. It's off. It's weird.
Yeah, no, it's totally awkward. That's why 94% of my videos are with my horses because
Right.
they already judge me, but they can't voice it.
Yes. One of my favorite videos
Oh no.
of yours that I was just like jaw on the floor, watched them both probably 5 times. You did this video where people were commenting hateful stuff, and you let off. I mean, not let off, but like you let them know. Well,
Okay.
first of all, hateful comments. I don't like hateful comments. I'll go through posts like that I know that are gonna get hateful comments, like and just like I'll just go like I'll go sit there and read comments. You know what I mean? Just like, but like
Yeah,
the people that have the time to sit there and post hateful comments on somebody, like totally blows my mind. You know what I mean?
right. Same.
And you just like, you know what, since we let's talk, like, because the creators like typically don't get a voice back. Like if you're gonna comment back and sit there and argue, do you know what I mean? It doesn't do you much good. But
Right.
you just were like, let's go and talk about it. Like, let's go and talk about you, Brenda. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you calm down.
Yeah. I They're like my favorite videos to make, and they're for a long time. I made a series like back in the spring about like as a female team roper, this is what I think about you by what you drive or whatever. You know what I
Right,
mean? And I got so many hateful comments, and like they don't hurt my feelings. First
right,
of all, like you don't know me, first of
right,
all, you know what I mean? And so you can't hurt my feelings. Second of all, I'm like if I respond back to you, then you're just get meaner and meaner and meaner, right?
right,
And so I don't know that I've ever, ever had someone respond on a video where I've like responded to their comment. You know what I mean?
right,
Like where I've highlighted their comment on the screen.
right.
Never. And I've tagged people. I've done all of these things. And I don't know why, but like they just crack me up because I'm like, that's how you wanted to hurt my feelings? Just like
Yeah,
people making fun of my purple cowboy hat.
yes. I was
Like,
like, why?
well, and I mean, I get it. Like it's weird, right? But so am I.
Right,
Like if you knew me in real life, people, you would know that I am weird. I'm
right,
the person that's going to wear a purple hat or purple boots because I mean, that's just who I am. And I've
right,
always been that way. When I was a kid, I was not confident at all, but I still did weird things. Like my favorite pair of pants my entire life when I was a kid were a pair of lime green, and I do mean lime green Wranglers. And I wore them all the time.
right.
And I guess that's just kind of continued on in my life. And I don't know. And so when they're calling me, the Timu version cowgirl or whatever, and I'm like, please keep saying these things because
Yeah,
I get a kick out of them. They
right,
make me laugh.
right. That is great. Like, first of all, like, who are you to sit there and comment on somebody's video? Like, if you want to wear lime pants and a purple hat, like, if you really have the time to sit there and comment on someone's video, like, go do something else. You know what I mean? Like, watch about
Right? Exactly.
like it's totally ridiculous. Like, okay, great, you're giving me more videos to come up with. You know what I mean? And I'll wear my purple
Yeah.
hat.
Someone commented on one of my purple hat, like the shape of it, which the shape is bad. I left it in my living quarters over the summer, and so
Right,
it got all wonky. But like someone commented about that, and then commented on another video, and then another video, and I like finally like commented back to him, and I was like, "How did you find me? If you hate everything about me, how did you find me?" He's like, "I don't know, but I wish that I wasn't here." And I'm like, if you keep commenting, my stuff's gonna keep coming up.
yeah,
That's how the algorithm works.
yes.
And he was like, he didn't like respond or anything, but he blocked it to where I couldn't reply to his comments
Like,
anymore.
okay, block this page. Like nobody cares at this point. Like,
I know.
dude,
I'm like, why are you here?
yeah, like good grief. So
And they
yeah,
pick on the weirdest things. Like my hat is one thing, right? Like a purple hat, I get that one.
mhm,
But there for the longest time it was my eyebrows. Like
really.
everybody was like, "What's wrong with your eyebrows? What is this? What girl fix your brows?" I'm all, "Well, can you send me a tutorial because this is what they look like in real
Yeah.
life. Like this is how they were put on my face by the Lord." Like
Some of them were like, you were like, oh, are you hat shaper? I'll send my hat back. I'll send my hat to you. Like, it was just like great.
I will mail it to you,
Yes,
buddy.
yes. Oh my goodness. Absolutely great. Absolutely great videos. So you're on how many different social media platforms do you post on?
I post on Facebook and Instagram. I post on TikTok. I've kind of dipped my toe in the lemonade thing that's supposed to like take over if the government gets rid of TikTok, but I haven't really got into that one yet. But that's mostly like my three socials that I use. I've wanted to get into YouTube, but like I never have any long form content. Everything's always short form. So I've kind of
YouTube Shorts are good.
stuck to that. I know that's what my son is 10 and he keeps like, "Mom, just put it on YouTube Shorts." I'm like, "I don't know how to work YouTube. I know these other ones."
It is honestly, it is pretty simple. Like all my videos go on YouTube, and like I've made a few shorts, and like it's one of those things. Like out of all the platforms, which I'm not like a TikTok kind of person, but like out of the platforms that I have, like it is the easiest to keep track of the views. It keeps like it's just really easy way to keep track of everything. I highly recommend YouTube.
Nice.
I like that a lot.
I might
Um,
have to try it because but I do all my editing on the TikTok app. That's where I do all my editing because I am a boomer millennial that doesn't know how to edit content other than inside an app. You know what I mean? So I'm
right.
like, I don't know. And that's where TikTok's where I got started on social media.
Mhm.
And then I like transitioned over.
So when you're filming things like, is there ever videos like you go out and you post and you're just like it just don't sit with you? Like there'll be some posts that I make that I'm like, I'll post it, I'll close out everything, and I'm just like, okay. And I'm like, I just can't. Like there any videos or posts that you do that you're just like, you know?
Yeah, no, not usually. Like I can't think of a single one that I've posted like, man, no, it's usually like the ones that I put a whole bunch of effort into and all this thought and whatever. And like they just like kind of flop, right?
Right.
And the ones that are like spur of the moment, just boom, boom, and that's what does well. And I'm like, why do I even try? Like I should just
Right.
like fly by the seat of my pants. It's the ones I spend time on that never do well.
The algorithm is the hardest thing in the world to get perfectly in.
Yeah, and well, and it's like forever changing, right? And I'm like,
Right.
okay.
Well, going back just a little bit, I kind of want to talk about a few myths for people that do social media. And one of the big myths that is common in social media is that everyone who does like all these maybe relatable videos or videos like Dale Brisby or whatever have like this big amount of money. I may have even seen a comment in your thing like where someone was like, "Don't all so and have like doesn't all social media influencers have money?" And you're like, show me where. It was someone's post like that. Like I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that
Chick Wilfong posted that, and he is a longtime T roper, so
was
he was on the joking side there. But no, but seriously, like where is the money? Like
yeah.
where does it come from?
Right.
I just want to quit my job and ride my horses and make videos. That's all I want to do. But
Where did you get that from?
yeah. I work at a phone and internet company. Actually, I just started a new position last week. I had been working in the network operations center, like doing the turning up of fiber installs, copper. I mean, all of these things. Like I worked behind a computer and I just started as the marketing manager last week. So I'm kind of in like a transition phase right now. And when I did my interview, they were like, well, where are you at with marketing? And have you ever done this before? I'm like, I market myself. I don't know about the
Right.
company, but like I'm like, I probably shouldn't make mean comment videos back on the company
Yeah.
page.
I'm very little. No,
Probably shouldn't do that, but
no, do you so you work during the week? You said you have a kid, right?
I do, yeah.
Does he rodeo?
he's been to a couple junior rodeos. He's not really been into it until like this last year. I kind of honestly think it was like me qualifying that kind of like kicked it in gear for him. And I've never wanted to be the parent that's like, no, you're gonna rodeo, you're gonna do this, you're because those all of my friends that were raised that way no longer do it. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like they don't rope, they don't rodeo. And like my best friend, I've known her since I was 8.
Right.
She and I were the ones like she had 3 siblings. They had no interest in it. I was by myself, of course. I'm an only child, but like we're the only ones out of our whole friend group when we were growing up that are still roping and doing stuff.
Right.
And that's how I've always wanted to be because our parents didn't push us to do it. We didn't have to. It was only if we wanted to. And so
Mhm.
that's kind of where I'm at with him. And I mean, he's 10. It's not super cool, except actually right now it is cool to be a cowboy. Like,
Oh,
where
yeah.
was that 20 years ago when I was growing up and everybody was making fun of me for wearing my boots to school? And now everybody's like, oh, yeah, the buckle carries cowboy boots and all this stuff. I'm all, where was that when I was growing up?
Right.
It's crazy.
That is funny. I know for me, like my parents, oh, I was forced into rodeo. Like I
Yeah.
absolutely did not want to do it. Like I remember days I was like, "Please don't make me do it. I don't want to do it." Like, I would go on the radio shaking, and then after I'd be like, "That was so much fun."
Right? Yeah.
And then the next
Yeah.
one,
Like after,
I'm like, "No."
yeah.
And now
Oh,
I'm absolutely in love with it. And now my mom's just back. She's like, "What did I tell you?" You know what I mean? Like, and,
yes.
and like it's something that I'll do for a long time. But there is like that fine line where it's like you don't want to push kids into doing rodeo so
Right.
much because oftentimes even the people that are around us like they'll quit rodeo, and I'm like, "How do you quit rodeo?" You know what I mean? Like and it's not made for
Yeah.
everybody.
It's a
It's not.
lifestyle, right?
It is.
Like,
It's like a family, really. Rodeo is like just this big
no,
old.
it really is. It's like the smallest world ever,
It
too.
really is. In each event, it's like a different group of family. You know,
Yep.
like, and when you get into that event, that's when you're like, where were these people? You know what I mean? Like that, especially like when I started taking lessons and stuff, like all these people, it's like, oh, that's who that is. That's who that is. Where did you come from? You know what I mean? Like, and then you just grow these people. Once you start making these connections, then you're just like the Roper's family. You know what I mean? The Huddle
Right.
family.
Yes.
You know, and then you have the big rodeo family. You know what I mean? Like unless you rodeo, it's hard to explain what it's like.
Yeah, because there's nothing to compare. And like I mean, even like playing college basketball and doing all of that, it's not the same. I have never been anywhere where like there's so many connections. So to go way back in my life, I was adopted at birth and I never knew my biological family. I didn't know my birth mother or my biological dad. I never knew them. I found my biological mother found me, shoot, it'll be 5 years this year. And then she told me my bio dad's name and I found him 3 years ago this year. So through my bio dad, I've met my brother and, you know, like whatever, they live northeast of Dallas. And so we go to visit, my son and I, we go to visit and meet everybody. Well, like they rope and so I'm like talking about like, well, do you know this person? Sure do. And like, well, I've known them my whole life. And so it's like, you know, we were connected all along,
Right.
but we never knew each other. And then it gets even crazier. So one of our friends here in Cliff had a friend from Illinois come down to their ranch to go hunting and whatever. Well, he has the magic touch. I don't know what it is. Okay. I don't know. But he like it, our horses had like really bad warts. All Scott had to do was touch the horse. This is the guy from Illinois. Scott had to touch the horse and the warts would go away. And I'm not joking you, it freaking did. And so Scott came here and like got the warts off of my dad's horse, like just rubbed around on them, whatever. And then within 2 weeks, they fell off. This was, shoot, when we first moved up here. So like 17 years ago, I hadn't thought of the guy since, right? So I meet my bio dad and his wife, who is not my birth mother. Okay. My birth mother and my biological father have never been together, like married. Anyway, so I meet my biological father and his wife, and come to find out, this man who laid hands on my dad's horse is her brother. I'm not joking. So I guess would be like my bio stepmom. Her brother had been to my house.
Wow.
Like 17 years, like 15 years before I'd even met them.
That
Like,
is
I mean, all through like the team roping people, you know what I mean? Like, because they're all team ropers. And so I'm like, how on God's green earth from Illinois are you kin to my biological dad and you end up at my house in Cliff, New Mexico? How?
that is
Like,
absolutely crazy.
I mean, if that's not a testament to God, I don't know
Right,
what is. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, he knows all the time. And so, and back to where we were at, like the team roping family is like so small. The world in and of itself is so small.
Right. It's
It's
like,
crazy.
and it's the thing about rodeo is it's so welcoming. Do you know what I mean? Like, although it's small, it's not hard to get in at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not
Right.
like no hard thing to get in this group or no hard thing. Because when I first started rodeo, I was like, you would see these people talking. I was like, oh, those are the cool kids. And I would kind of keep walking. I'm like, oh, those are the cool kids. You know what I mean? Like,
Those are the cool kids.
just what it was. But like, little by
Yeah.
little, this whole time, like, now there's probably people looking at us like, oh, those are the cool kids. You know, like once you actually
Right.
step out and like, oh, let's go actually talk to somebody. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Or like the cool kids were actually just talking to somebody they had just met, but you just thought they were
exactly,
best friends. You know what I mean? That's how it is.
exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
it literally took someone to come up to me. Like I was sitting by a trailer, and it took someone to come up to me, and I was like, "Cool kid approaching, cool kid approaching," and he came up to me, and he came and talked to me, and we just sat there, and we probably talked for an hour, and I was like, "Man," we rode around for a while, and like now. I I work with him. Like we've entered a jackpot game.
Oh, that's
It's
awesome.
like it was really really cool to see. Like if you just go out and talk to somebody, like for anybody that's just like starting in the radio world, like if you would just go out and just like, oh, let me just go talk to somebody, you know what I mean? Like, let's go talk to the cool kids, you know, like I have not seen once
Right.
the new kid comes up and wants to talk to the ropers and then just like get on, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
cool to be able to do that, do you know what I mean? So I think that
Yeah.
it's definitely misunderstood when you walk through the room.
No, absolutely. No, like you nailed it. It is misunderstood because, like, I mean, like when I first started high school rodeo, and I was the same way as you, where I'm like, oh, I can't talk to those people because like they're really good,
Right.
and or they're the cool girls, or those are whatever. And I mean, in all actuality, like you can, especially. I can't speak for too much because in the last 10 years, all I've done is go to team ropings. I've not been to very much anything else really. But like, I mean, if you go sit at a jackpot on a horse and you have a rope in your hand, you can like go stand where everybody's standing, and anybody that rides up is going to talk to you.
Exactly.
And I mean, there's a very small handful that don't, but like you don't want to be with those people anyway, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, you can just like all of my friends now are team ropers because
Right.
it's just they're so welcoming. And I mean, every day I'm always getting, not every day, but like every now and then I'm getting messages about like how do I get into it? I'm
Right.
like, go to an arena, find out if they're having practices, and just show up.
Right.
I don't know crap. Like I don't know anything. So don't like put me out there with the open steers, but like I mean, everybody wants to share their knowledge. I think that's another Team Roper thing is that
Yeah.
they all just want to tell you what they know.
Yes, they do. They do. And your answer to how to get into things is a lot different than mine. I've been asked a couple of times, well, how do you get into team rep? And I said, so this is what you do. Go to the bank. I said, get all the money that you've ever saved in your life. And I said, go ahead and just start shredding it up. And then
Yeah,
after
just
you
cut
finish
it.
shredding it
Just
up,
get your pocket knife out. Just
and
cut it.
cut
You're good.
every bit of money you've ever had. And then once you think there's hope, and once you think you can put the money all back together, I want you to flush it down the toilet and say goodbye
Yeah,
because you're gonna have no money. It's all gonna be gone.
no money.
Like
Yeah,
in all seriousness, like people that are trying to get into it, like it does cost a lot of money. You're gonna lose a lot of money, but
yeah,
it is the best thing ever. And I know for me, I had it all mixed up. Let me tell you, when I got into there, like the way I was saying, like, man, let me just hang around with the new guys. Get your tail over there with the people who's been doing it. Like, surround
right.
yourself with great people because, like, hanging around the losers ain't getting you nowhere. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
hate to say
Yep.
that, but losers got to be with the good people. You know what I mean? A groupers ain't going nowhere. Like I don't know a better way to say that. You know what I mean? Like
No, but
I'm
you're exactly right.
exactly like go go with the rich kids, go with the cool kids, go like put your foot in the door and keep it there until you get what you've been wanting. You know what I mean? Like persistency is key. And like
Yeah.
getting into that, like even and that's in anything in life. Like when I even in team roping, like getting with the team rope people. With this podcast world, oh my gosh. Like if you ever looked at how many radio podcasts there are, is insane. And trying to
Oh
get people
yeah.
like I've messaged so many people getting podcasts and like, oh, I'll get back with you. I'll get back with you. And like I know like Speed Williams himself. I did a podcast with Speed Williams. And he was like, man, you're a persistent little joker. And I was like, that's what it's gonna take. Like, if I want someone on a podcast, or I want to go rope somewhere, or I want to make this person my friend, persistency is what's gonna get there. And like keeping your
Yep.
foot in the door until you get what you want, or go find another door and put your foot in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That, like I said, when I qualified, like if they'll just crack that door a little bit, I'll put my foot all the way through it and
Exactly.
I'll kick it in. That's what you have to do. And like, I can't remember who it was. I want to say that it was Jake Barnes, but I could be really wrong. I could be misquoting. But like he said, if you're the best roper in the practice pin, you're in the wrong practice pin.
Yep.
And like that's how I've always looked at it. Like, I mean, not even just roping, but like you said, getting out there and like talking to people. Like if you're talking to people that like if you're number 5 and you're hanging out with the 3s and 4s, you're gonna rope like a 3 and a 4. If
Yep.
you're a 3 hanging out with the 6s and 7s, you're gonna rope up. You know what I mean? Like you're like, yeah, it's crazy.
It is. And the people that don't want to see you succeed, like there's people that are going to be in your life that they're going to be with you just where you are. Like they could care less if you move forward. They could care less if you drop back. Like
Right.
people that want to see you go, that absolutely
Yep.
want to see you take the names, take the titles, take the buckles, take the money. Like be with
Yeah.
those people that want to see you succeed. The people who
Yeah.
have, and I'm not going to sit back and say like you can't hang out around with the little guys that are trying to learn because that's how they're going to learn. They're going to want to hang around you and hang around the older guys. But if you're already hanging
Yeah.
guys, you need to encourage the people that are down here to come and hang out with
Yep.
the big guys with you. And that's the only way you're going to get better. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that was the hardest
Exactly.
thing for me to learn in rodeo. Like, stop sitting around, stop keeping to yourself, take the headphones out your ear. Like,
Get out there.
like I can literally, there's so many opportunities that I missed, like with just sitting back in the corner, like on my horse listening to music. Like I missed so many people just walked right by me. And I would think to myself, man, I wish I was friends with him. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, you get off your horse.
Yeah. How are you going to be friends with him if you're not even talking to him?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Golly. Well, you're in New Mexico, right?
Yep. Yep.
Is there a lot of rodeos in New Mexico? Are you at a rodeo every weekend or?
No, not hardly at all. Like, I mean, everything is either east of me or west of me. So, like, I normally like if to go to a World Series roping, I usually go to Arizona, which where I'm at, like as the crow flies, I'm only like 7 miles from the Arizona state line anyways.
Right.
So like Wickenburg is only like 4.5 hours,
Mhm.
Buckeye, Queen Creek, all of those where they have like the bigger World Series in the
Right.
wintertime are all within 5 hours of me.
Right.
Whereas if I wanted to go to a World Series in New Mexico, they're like Albuquerque, Socorro, far.
Right.
So I don't hardly ever go here. I usually go to Arizona, which works out because I high school rodeoed in Arizona because we lived closer then. And so like all of my buddies that I like high school rodeoed with and stuff, like I'll see them and they're like, "What are you doing here? Where have you been?" All this
Right.
stuff. And so it's kind of funny. And then someone found me the other day that I high school rodeoed with, and he was like, "Dude, I've known you since we were kids, and here you are like posting crap on Instagram and you're funny." And I'm like,
Right.
I was funny then too, in case you were wondering. I was just dumber.
Right. It's like from where you sound like it sounds like you with like you being close to Arizona. I am very close to Alabama. So like when
Okay.
like I'm in Florida, but we're very, very close to Alabama. So like when we were
Okay.
Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, like the little area of town, like people think Florida, we're not down in Florida, like we're right on the line of
Like you're
Florida.
on the pan. Yeah.
Right in the panhandle. So we're like there's rodeos all around. So that's the cool thing about Florida. I know like there's just certain places in the states where like rodeo, like you're gonna have to drive a long way. You know, for
A
our
long way.
state,
Yeah.
we're fortunate to have a good bit of rodeos around where we are. So that's
Nice.
a really cool thing.
Yeah.
You
And like I realize that some people may think that 5 hours is a long ways, but like where I live, it's 45 minutes to the grocery store. You know what I
wow.
mean? Like the closest grocery store. And so 5 hours is nothing. Like there's like if there's a jackpot 2 hours away, I'm all load up, let's go. You
Yeah.
know, like
Hello, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Ramblin' Rodeo podcast. I want to take just a second and thank my amazing sponsors. This would not be possible without them. Everything that I do, recording and being able to get all these guests on the podcast would not be possible. Literally, I could not do it without them. So first, let's talk about Alma's Balm. Alma's Balm is an all-natural ointment for horses, cats, dogs, all your four-legged animals. It is for, whether they have cuts, scrapes, bumps, put a little bit of Alma's Balm on it and they got you taken care of. Go to almasbalm.com, use code RAMBLIN for 10% off on all orders when you order the Big 10. Next, let's talk about Buckaroo Brew. Buckaroo Brew is the spirit of coffee. From the second you take it out of the package, it smells so great. They have whole bean, grinded, medium, dark, like they have it all. They got you taken care of. Go to buckaroobrew.com, use code RAMBLINRODEO, and get 15% off on that. Thank you so much for Alma's Balm and Buckaroo Brew for doing what you do. Like I said, this would not be possible without them. And I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. You mentioned some relatives in Texas. Texas always seems like the cowboy state. You know what I mean? Like I've always
right.
thought, like I've said on podcasts, and not saying that you can't rodeo from where you're at in any state you are, but like I've always thought, like man, like if I could get to Texas, like that, I'd be hitting rodeos everywhere. You know what I mean? But like Texas seems like the cool place to rodeo. Have you ever thought of like have you been to Texas rodeo?
So when I like I said, I college rodeoed for a semester. We were in the Lone Star area. So we were like Snyder, Leveland, all over West Texas. So I mean it is like a rodeo capital. And you have never seen such nice horses in such crappy places as
Really?
you will when you drive through Texas. Cause I mean like they'll be like, I mean, like not a panel, a pallet with some broken panels and some hog wire mesh like strewn together with some broken up concrete chunks that make up this horse's pin. And like you're out there and you're like, that's an own son of I don't even know. Like think of the best rope horse you can. I have too many names in my head right now. I'm like,
Right.
that's an own son of Peppy Sand Badger just standing in that pit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, what? But
Uh-huh.
it's just because it's so common. You know what I mean? Like here, I mean, it's just so open. And like I said, the closest town for groceries is 45 minutes, and the closest like Chick-fil-A is 2.5 hours.
Right.
So I mean, we're so vast out here where there's not anything. And like when you go to Texas, there's a town every 15 miles that has its own everything.
Right.
And that's kind of how it is like with horses out there. It's
You
just
mentioned
wild.
going through Texas, and I kind of want to talk about this a little bit. Going through Texas, how like you would see like these really, really nice horses in like these bad areas, like in bad places. And I've been to rodeos like where I've never been to this specific person I'm thinking of's house. And I'm telling you, like their horses, I was like, man, if I could get their horses, like, oh my goodness, you would not believe where I could go. And we go to the house and we're like, do you see what our horses like? That's the horse we seen at the
Yes.
rodeo last weekend. That's the horse that
Yes.
like, oh my gosh. Like, and there's their fancy rig. And I'm
Right.
and that goes to show you, you can go to a rodeo. The people can pull up in the fanciest rigs. they can have an $100,000 truck and $100,000 trailer and a hundred
Yep.
thousand dollar horse means
And you pull up to
absolutely
their house and you're like, I wouldn't even let my dog sleep in
yes.
there.
My gosh. And you're just like, and you just assume, they got it so nice, they got it figured out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then and by the way, they won the rodeo because now they pulled up in their fancy rig. So now I think, okay, they've won the rodeo. And like I think that's a common just, here's the buckle. You know what I mean? Like, might as well just go and pack up. It's
Right.
nothing, really. It really is nothing. Like, honestly, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it don't matter how fancy of a rig you have. It don't matter. Like, we pulled up when we first started rodeo. We had this tiny little rusted through hole in the floor black trailer, and we rodeoed with that for a long time. And we went and took some money. Like, I don't care pulling it with a 150. Like, I don't care what you're pulling up in the rodeo. Like, you can go take money no matter what you're pulling up in. Like, I know
Exactly.
you've even posted some stuff about your rigs. Talk about that just a little bit.
That was one video that I got major hate comments on. I made a video like talking about, you know, as a female team roper, this is how I'm judging you by what you pull up into the
Right.
jackpot, right? And like, honest to God, that's not how I'm judging you, but that's how everyone thinks about it. Like, if you're pulling up in a stock trailer, like obviously you're just a cowpuncher, like whatever, whatever. And if you pull up in a two horse, like you're just a city kid and all this stuff. And I mean, like, I don't feel that way, but it is like the stereotype, right? Like, I think that that's a big like misconception is that like team ropers have these stereotypes within their own
Right.
stereotype. And so, I mean, I made this joke about like dog trailers. That one got like so many people mad because around here, like where where I live, um, like if you're pulling up in a full top stock trailer, the ranchers around here are gonna look at you like, why do you have a full top? But like
Right.
we live right on the edge of the Gila National Forest. So there is wild cattle everywhere. Like,
Right.
I mean, that have never seen a human. So I mean,
Mhm.
everybody's got like a half top so that they have, the ball hitch on the sides so that they can dally up and get their Maverick loaded in the trailer. So
Right.
people were so upset about that when I posted it.
That is absolutely wild. Like, I think that it's crazy how quick people can just like immediately think that because of the rig, this is gonna happen, or because of like
Yes,
someone in this trashy rig can be at the roping pin every night of the week while you're sitting there watching TV. Like, I don't care what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't about what you're driving. And this is for people just getting into rodeo, people who may have been in rodeo for a long time.
yes,
However you're listening, or whoever's listening, like, that's just is what it is. And I know, like, there's just so many misconceptions. Like, when you first start
absolutely.
rodeo, like, so many, and that is one of them. And we've brought up a few, but like, that is one of them that just absolutely like blows my mind how believable it is. Because even I believed it. Like, you could go to a rodeo and they would have this nice fancy thing, and you would think they've won, but that's not the case at all. It really isn't. And so, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's encouragement for someone who may not have a $100,000 truck and trailer like that. It
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
matter. Like, you can go kick butt without it. So,
Yes. Well, and that's like I remember like going to high school rodeos and stuff. Like I like we'd pull up in like our 1997, you know, extended cab pickup and my
yes,
91 CM trailer that I still have that I drive around most of the
right,
time. And like then and I unloaded one horse. At every high school rodeo I had one horse and I did everything. I ran barrels, I ran poles, I roped breakaway and I team roped on the same horse. I did
right,
everything on him. And he was 14 hands on the dot with shoes on. You took his shoes off and he lost some height. You know what I mean? Like he was a little bitty thing.
Right.
And then I would see these girls like they back out their goat horse, their breakaway horse, their pole horse, their this, their that,
Yes.
and their mom's driving a mini Pete with their, whatever. And I thought,
Yeah.
man, and it's intimidating, but like, no way, man. Like it's not even worth it because
Yes.
all that really matters is like head on your shoulders and the
Yeah.
horse under your feet. Like
Right.
if you
And
believe in here and you believe in your horse, that's all you got to worry about.
yes. And like even for and it goes the same way with the horse. Like even for us, like when we started rodeo, by the way, there's 9 of us in our family that do rodeo, like 9 kids that do rodeo.
Oh,
And
God bless.
yeah, there's a lot. And we would have to, there would probably be 4 of us running events on one horse. And like,
Yep.
because of that, like you have the kids, like you said, that have a horse for each event. Like that's just not what we had at the time. And like, you can still
Right.
go win riding the same horse. Like I think it gets people can get so discouraged, like having to switch horses or having to do this or how like you know what I mean. Like yes, it's a hassle, but like it goes to back to how much you want it. If you want it, if you really want to rodeo, you're
Exactly.
not gonna mind going and switching a saddle so you can rodeo. You're not gonna mind like
Yep.
that's the kind of thing. It's how bad you want it, and that goes for everything.
Yep.
Like even probably when you went to Las Vegas, there was probably a like, okay, I got to get in gear. Do you know what I mean? Like, was there like
Yeah.
a big, like, okay, I'm going to Vegas, I'm going to go practice more than what you were doing before?
Yep. Well, and that's what I mean, honestly, like so I've talked about it on a million or videos that I've made so far. And like everyone keeps asking me, like, are you getting paid to say this? I'm like, no, I'm not. But like I went to that Charlie Crawford clinic last January. And when I say it changed my entire mentality, like across the board, not just roping, I
Mhm.
mean it. Like, I mean, to the point where he said, like, you get what you put into something, whether
Yeah,
it's work, whether it's cooking, I mean, cleaning your house, whatever, you get what you put in.
right,
And I'm like, man, like time is money, right? Everybody knows that
right,
cliche, right? Time is
right.
money. So where are you putting your money? What bank are you putting
Yep,
it in? Like,
yep,
where are you putting your time? And so this 2024 was like the biggest like mental focus change year for me. And I didn't get to rope as many live cattle as I wanted to
right.
because of cattle prices. Good golly.
Yes,
Oh, so I like we didn't have any cattle. All I had was my dummy that I worked all kinds of different like strategies on. And then we have my dad, thank God, has a heliomatic. So I got to rope the sled a whole bunch. We kind of had some like horse setbacks here and there. And it was just this whole thing where I was like playing a mental game with myself where it was
right.
like, no, you are tough enough. Just because you didn't get to go rope 54 steers this week doesn't mean that you're not ready because you've put in
Yes.
the time and you've put in the effort on everything. Like to the point I was like researching ropes, I was researching, all of this stuff so that I could make sure that I was confident on that part. And all I had to worry about was me. I didn't have
Hmm.
to worry about my horse. I didn't have to worry about my rope. I didn't have to worry about anything. All I had to worry about was getting myself there and we were
Right.
good. And man, it was so rewarding to see it pay off. No, I didn't bring home $400,000 like I
Right.
wanted to, but I mean, man, it was such a cool thing to be a part of
Right.
and to see him. And like I don't know, I might be the only one because these books came out when like before I was even born. But like, have you ever heard of Hank the Cowdog?
No, I not that I can think of.
Okay, so it's this whole book series. I think there's like 60 of them,
Really?
but they're like fourth grade reading level, and I had them all. This is gonna age me right here, but I had them all on cassette tape when I was a kid, and like I can still quote him to you to this day. And Hank the Cowdog, he was head of ranch security. I know somebody watching this will know who I'm talking about, but head of ranch security, and he would always talk about like he would the one that I think about the most is there was the flying monster bird or silver monster bird, and it was an airplane right flying over the ranch,
No.
and so he had to like bark at the silver monster bird, and he was like, well, it got away but it was a moral victory because
Mhm.
I chased it off, and so that's what I
Yeah.
think about Vegas. Like it was a moral victory for me. Like I was able to prove to myself that like I'm good enough because I know that, like we talked about at the very beginning is like social media is such a small depiction of like who you are and what's going on in your life that like there are so many seeds of self-doubt like that sit in my brain every single day that like going up there and like being able to catch three steers and keeping my head on straight and like were they my best three steers I've ever turned in my life? No, but like I've never roped on that horse in an inside roping before. I've never been in a building on him. And so like all of these things that like compounded on top of everything and I was able to prove to myself that like homegirl, you are good enough to be
Yes.
here. Like why do you keep doubting yourself?
Yes.
And like I think that that's probably everybody in the world, but like I
Mhm.
think and I know that I have dealt with a whole bunch of self doubt throughout my life that, like, just to be like posting on social media and like to be roping in Las Vegas and doing all these things is something that, like, my 15-year-old self would never have believed I would do
Mhm.
ever. And so, if I can reach one 15-year-old girl and make her believe that she's good enough just because of who she
Yes.
is, then
Yes.
that's all I'm here for, you know?
Yes. That brings up so much, and I guarantee you can relate to this. Like going back to kind of about I talked to someone about this in a podcast I can't think of right now, but going back to like when you first start rodeo or like going into these new rodeo associations or whatever, and the cool guy comes up and helps you know how to hold your rope, helps you. Oh, hey, what's your name? You will remember that guy's name like he was your
Forever.
best friend. Like, and that guy probably he won't remember. You know what I mean? Like going and helping. Like I would do my best. Like if there was a kid that wants help at a rodeo, and I would do my best to try to give it the best that I can because I
Yeah.
remember being in that place where I was just like, if one guy would come up and help me do this, like, and I would remember their name forever, and I would tell everybody that's my best friend because he helped me in
Yep.
the like. You know what I'm talking about? Like where they just come up to you and just like help you, and you won't forget who they are.
Oh, I have it in my mind, like who
Yes.
it was for me. So
Yes, it totally changes it, and like that's absolutely crazy. Like how much, so taking the time to just go help someone know how to hold a rope or rope the dummy or
yeah,
stand with them and rope with them, like have a conversation. Like that's the kind of stuff like that. Just you will not believe how much it would help somebody as much as it does.
yeah, and I mean, and just from my own personal experience, like not just on like the technical side of roping either, just to make you feel, seen
Right,
by someone else is huge,
100%.
huge.
100%. And not just seeing like when you're back in the box. Because like when you're back in the box or something, like do you think that 100 people are looking at you and absolutely nobody cares about how you're about to run? Like when I first started, like I'm back in the box and like, oh, so and so's watching. Oh, so and so's looking. They're about to go.
Yes,
I just miss. Look at that little circle over there talking. They're talking trash about me.
they are talking about me. They weren't even watching.
And you tell me, like, after my runs, I would go back to videos and I would zoom in to see who's watching, just to see who's watching. Did they clap for me? Did they do this? Like, I'm telling you, like, when I first started, that's how it was. It just was what it was. Like, no one cared. Like, I hate to say it like that, but like, there's people who care, but like, no one is sitting there talking trash about you after you just made a bad run. Like, that is also
No,
another myth. I can do a whole podcast on misconceptions on going into rodeo, honestly. But like,
honestly, you should
should like that is
call
one
me
of
for that one.
yes. But like that is just one of the things. Like it just is what like it just people think like everyone's talking trash about you. Everyone's looking. It just they're not. They really aren't. Have you ever been
No,
in a place where you're just like, oh, they're looking at me. They're talking. You know what I mean? Like no, they're not.
yeah, no, they literally are probably talking about what they had for breakfast this morning. Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
God, yeah, it definitely a lot of misconceptions. So being a female team roper, like you ever like I don't know, get them side looks from the guy ropers or just like ever get comments, snarky comments in the roping pen, or you just like one to
Oh
show
yeah, all the time.
really?
all the time. No, and usually like, and I'm a super outgoing person. Like if I'm at a roping, I'm outgoing. Like I'm talking to everybody that's around.
Right.
And so I usually get pegged. Well, and I dye my hair blonde. I bleach my hair blonde, which I'm about to quit because I can't afford to keep going to the salon. But like I get teased all the time for being like the blonde girl team roper. Like
Right.
everywhere I go, it's like, oh, it's just because you're blonde. And I'm like, I pay for this. It's not actually this color. Like, leave me
Right.
alone. And
Right.
oh my gosh. And then, you'll always get they'll ask you, hey, what happened on that one? And you'll tell them whatever. And like, nah, it's just because you're a girl. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah, like,
Shut
oh my
up.
goodness. Now,
Yeah, and those guys, I usually tell them like, you just wish you roped like I do.
yes,
So
yes. So I see a lot of your relatable videos. Do you do any? Like I haven't done a whole like I've watched a lot of relatable videos for hours. But there's so many reels. Do you do videos where you're because I didn't see barely any like competition videos. Do you do like videos like that, like going to ropings, kind of like vlog kind of things?
I wish I would,
I wish you would
but
too.
but usually I don't have someone that records me.
Right.
Or if I do, it's my mom, and she mostly gets either the fence or the ground because she gets to like watching
Uh-huh.
and and or like I don't know how many times, I can't even tell you. I should make a video with how many times I've started like, come to the jackpot with me, and I'll start that morning and I'll get like to the barn, I'll get the horses loaded, and then I'll completely forget what I'm doing.
Yes.
Like I can't tell you how many of those I've done because in my mind I'm like, this is such a good idea. But then like again, I don't ever have my phone when I'm roping.
Mhm.
So I don't ever think about it. And then like, okay, so I asked someone one time, will you video me for a second? And they're like, no, that's weird. I'm all, use my phone. I don't care. Just record me
Yeah.
for a second. And they're
Yeah.
like, no. I'm like, whatever. So I do, it's like, it's kind of hard. I think I've kind of got my dad on board though to like record. He's okay. He's sometimes a better recorder. Sometimes he doesn't know if it's actually recording or if he's paused it. So, I mean, he's hit or miss, but usually when he is actually recording, it's good quality.
Yeah.
But when we first got to Vegas this year, it was beautiful up there. It was like 60 degrees, like no wind. So we're driving back. We unloaded the horse, unhooked, and like we're driving up to the hotel and had the windows down. And somebody like stopped me, like while we're driving. He's like, "Tell me a Team Roper joke." And my dad was like, "Oh my God." So then it started this way, like the whole, like that just kicked it off.
Right.
And finally, by like the end of the first day, he like started playing into it more, right? So like he was getting a kick out of like these people stopping me and talking.
Right.
And so now I think I've got him like talked into being my videographer.
Oh
As
my
long as
God.
he's not in front of the camera, I think he'll probably video more. I'm like,
Right.
just right.
I'm not sponsored by them, so just go ahead and put that out there. But I just bought some Moto Ray-Ban glasses. Have you heard of them?
Oh my gosh. They
You,
are so fun, aren't they?
I just bought some. They're coming in this week. I have had so many friends that have them. That's going to be a game changer on videos. Like, I'm just,
Oh my
I'm just
gosh.
going to do some videos. Like that would be
I
something.
have I have a pair. I just never use it.
Give us some videos. We want
Oh,
some.
you're gonna have to scroll back a ways because I put a video together of the things I said while I had my Ray-Bans on,
Uh-huh.
and like things I say during a run that I never realize I'm like I don't know that comes out
Right.
of my mouth, and I'm like watching the videos back. I'm like, what? Shut up! You're
Yeah.
so annoying.
Yes. We need some. We will do a vote. We need some PJ roping vlogs. That is what we need. Like a whole, if you just do one, just do a trial of a video all day. You go into the roping, you're roping, wear the Ray-Bans, like let us see it. We want to see it. Like that would be
All right.
so cool.
Mine are like, shoot, they're like when they first came out before they were the meta ones. Like, I don't even remember what they're called. So I don't even know if they like will still record or not. They might like not even take a software update or anything. So I might have to invest in a new pair.
Do some new ones. But
Ray-Ban, sponsor this.
Yeah, yeah, please. Yeah. But yeah, that's really cool. You mentioned a little bit, we're going a little bit everywhere. Like this is what I like to do during my podcast. Like we'll talk
This is
about a
how my
little bit.
brain works. So
Yes, we'll talk about the beginning and then we'll go to the middle and then we'll go back to the beginning and then the end. So we're just a little bit everywhere, and that's how I like to do it. How was college rodeo?
it was a lot of fun, honestly. Like I loved it. College basketball, absolutely not. College rodeo, actually, it was probably too much fun because it was a party and there were no parents there. Like high school rodeo, everybody partied and did everything, but there were parents, right? Like
Mhm.
there were chaperones. College, there was not. There was not. We were just like pretend adults out there just having a grand old time. But
Yes.
gosh dang, it was so much fun. I don't know how A, we survived, and B, more importantly, how the horses survived. I do not understand.
Is there a lot of rodeo in college?
Do what?
Were you doing a lot of rodeo during that time? Was it a lot?
There, I wasn't really like that involved. I mean, I was there, but like I also had other who knows? 19-year-old PJ was not a solid-minded human, like
Right.
not at all. Frontal lobe was not developed,
Right.
but like yeah, there was a lot going on. Actually, so it's funny. So I where I went to college was in eastern New Mexico, and it was in Portales, New Mexico, which is 15 miles from Clovis, which is where Shad Mayfield is from, right?
Wow.
So we used to go to the jackpots at Sylvester, his dad's house. My dad knew Sylvester when my dad was roping calves and whatnot. So like Sylvester's like, oh, you're Woody's daughter, blah blah blah, whatever. And so all this stuff. So we had that connection. And I remember Shad was maybe 8 years old at these like breakaway jackpots that he had every Tuesday night or whatever night it was. And Sylvester made him bring the calves up the alley every time. That was his job. And like Shad would get so mad. And I remember one night specifically, he was pissed because he just wanted to rope because some other kid, some other boy got to rope, and he was so mad. And he was like bringing the steers or the calves up the alley. He was like, I just want to like he was like just so mad. And
That is
so
absolutely. I need Shad Money on
yeah,
the podcast, by the way. I need Shad Money.
yeah. Shad Money Mayfield, you're next. New
I
Mexico represent.
need him. I'll beg you. But yeah, that's awesome for sure. I what we're again going a little bit everywhere. To talk about your feed, is it true you use total? Is that what I've seen?
Is it what?
You use total feeds?
I do. Yeah, yeah. We
Oh, I'm
feed
so
totally
glad.
Quinn.
I was like, please don't be thinking of the wrong person. Please don't be thinking of the wrong
Nope,
person.
that's me. We are true believers in
Yeah,
totally Quinn. So,
my first podcast was with Dr. Harry Anderson, who's over total.
oh, nice. Yeah, I watched that one.
Yes, I got to go. I got to actually meet him in Vegas, which was like really, really cool. And we sell Total. Did you use any other feed before Total Feed?
Uh, we've been using it as long as it's been available here. So I honestly couldn't even tell you what we fed before because gosh, it's probably been 15 years.
Best stuff. Best stuff you will
Yeah,
have. And
yeah.
we
And I mean, oh, yeah.
Yeah, we even talked about like at one point, like we were exploring different feeds to sell, to just kind of see because we sell turtle feeds as well, and we were just like, man, and every one you went through, like we would go through like the feeding regimens, like how much is feed, once you feed. Total feeds is the one. Like although the other feeds, like we would go through and they'd be $20 bag, and you'd be like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. But you would look how much you have to feed them, and you're like, okay, never mind,
Yeah,
And like Total Feed is just
yeah.
like get this, best feed ever, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean, my dad has Folgers coffee cans from 1945. And I mean, they each get a can of Totally Quine, excuse me, can of Totally Quine a day. And I mean,
Th-
my dad's paint horse is 27 years old. And I mean, still just in pristine condition.
Yes, I still rodeo on a 20-year-old, and she literally looks really, really, really well.
Well, Frybread, the one that I roped on in Vegas, 20 years old,
Really,
maybe older. He's He's great. We don't know how old Fry Bread
Same
is.
with me. My gray horse I ride, we're just like 20. I swear we called her 16 for 3 or 4 years.
Oh
Maybe
yeah, that I'm pretty sure.
yes, like she was 16 for 3 or 4 years. Like that's just what it was. And so like
Yeah,
you have a 20-year-old in Vegas?
sure did.
Did you drive or did you get it like home?
Yeah, we drove up. I mean, it's 9 hours from here, so it's not too bad. It's only like 500 something miles.
Still, and rodeo in Vegas with wow. I'm sitting here thinking like maybe going to trip a little while away where I might need a horse, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to bring this maybe 20-year-old up there. Like, but heck, you bought one to Vegas, you know?
Yeah, no, Fry Bread he was the man for the job. He was just like, here we are. We came to party. Like,
Yeah.
we're good to go. He's
What's his
oh
name?
man, he's Fry Bread.
One more time.
Fry Bread.
Where did you get that name?
So anybody that's from New Mexico and Arizona will know what fry bread is. It's so bad. I'm almost as red as my shirt. I can see myself. So, so fry bread is like, do you know what sopapillas are? Oh, you are so missing out. You need to come out here for a while. But anyways,
I'm so
so
confused.
it's like a tortilla kind like a tortilla dough
Hmm.
that you fry and it like puffs up and makes like this like puffy tortilla looking thing, right? That's the only way I know how to explain it
Hmm.
if you don't know what any of it is. So anyways, so it's called fry bread and it's like a Native American
Hmm.
bread. And when we got him, he did not have a name. And my dad bought him from one of his like best friends.
Right.
And he'd bought him out of Arizona, but we didn't know like where he came from or anything like that. And he was like probably 250 pounds underweight. Like his neck was real skinny and his mane was like super long, like down to his shoulders and just scraggly everywhere.
Right.
Like, so he looked like he came straight off the res, right?
Right.
Like straight off the reservation. So my dad was like, we need a res name for him. And so fry bread became fry bread.
Oh my goodness. That is great. Absolutely great. How many horses do you have?
Well, we have 5 1/4 because the pony only counts as a quarter, and I
Yeah.
hate that thing.
No, I'm concerned for there. Oh, five and a pony. Golly.
Yeah,
Do all of them have
and
crazy?
two donkeys.
Oh, we have two donkeys. Do all of them have crazy names?
So, yeah, they do. So all my dad's paint horse we raised. Okay, I remember the day he was born. I was 7. My dad had bred like 4 mares. I was promised that I got to put like give the papered name to the
Uh-huh.
first one. So the paint horse is born March 31st in a snowstorm. Okay, in Southwest New Mexico
Uh-huh.
at the end of March. And his like it's snowing. His tail is like this big around. His mane's all puffy and he's paint. So his registered name is polka dotted Harry, like hair, Harry. Needless to say, I never got to name another colt again, ever as long as
They
I've lived.
registered in that?
He's registered polka dotted Harry.
No. That is crazy. So we
So
have
that's Harry.
here, we have fry
Yep,
bread. I can't
we
wait
have
to hear
fry bread. So then we were at a jackpot 2 years ago, and this guy like rides by on this little gray horse, and he doesn't speak very much English. And my dad, he's like, "Hey, that's a nice horse," and he's like, "Oh, thank you." And then he goes and runs another one. He rides back by my dad, and he's like, "You want to buy him?" And my dad's like, "Maybe." So anyway, we end up buying this horse from this guy, and at this jackpot, we had not planned on buying a horse, but I
Mhm.
mean, I rode him at the jackpot. Whatever, we bought him. I don't know the horse's name. It does not have a name. He literally is a res pony. Like he's got the ID brand off
Mhm.
the San Carlos reservation in Arizona. So I don't know, like whatever. So I one of my roping partners knows the guy we bought him from. So I text him like, "Hey Manuel, what did Jose call this horse?" And he texts me back and he's like, "El Indio," which is the Indian. And so um so we have Indio, which is my gray horse.
Oh gosh. That
I'm
sounds
like, oh, it's so bad. And then my colt, my yellow horse that I broke 2 summers ago, um, his name just didn't stick. You know what I mean? Like when a horse has a name but it doesn't fit,
yeah.
like it just wouldn't stick. Like you wouldn't it wouldn't fit. And so one day, like I broke him in the summer of 22, I think 23. I broke him in the summer of 23, and that was the first horse I ever broke ever. And it was like such a learning experience, and I bonded with this horse so much. Like I love him. Like he's my person. You know what I mean? But so what I'm we couldn't ever get a name to stick. Like nothing we threw at him would stick. And so I was riding him around one day, and my son had watched Robin Hood.
Right.
And so I'm trotting him along, and I'm like singing Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest. You know what I mean? And so Little John came to be.
Oh
Like,
my
so
goodness.
so my yellow horse is Little John, and then my dun colt that I started last year, he did not have a name at all. Nobody had. I bought him as a yearling. Bought him from a guy that like raises lots of horses and turns, rolls them over a lot. So funny story about that one. We'll get back to that. But anyways, so I bought this little dun horse, and he didn't like, there was nothing, like he had a little snip on his nose. I wasn't gonna name him Snip. I'm like, that's way too, common, whatever. And one day I went out there and was feeding, and I'm like, threw hay to Indio, threw hay to Little John, and then like I go and throw his flake, and I was like, there you go, Howard. So his name is Howard.
What in the world is going on over there? I'm gonna get you just gonna message me, hey, I got this horse. I need a name for it.
I should. I'm the
Stop
worst namer.
naming horses.
I'm so bad.
Animals.
And like Little John and Howard both are registered colts. Could I tell you what their registered names are? No, I have no idea. No clue. I know Howard is something something cowboy. That's all I know about him. And all I know about Little John is like he's like impressive bred, so everybody thinks that he's an idiot. He's like so and
Yeah.
has bad feet. So that well, yeah, well, the feet are pretty close. He's not an idiot, but his feet are pretty bad.
Mhm. Good grief. So, any more horses? Is that it?
Yeah, and the pony, Rango the rodeo pony. But he came with that name. I didn't get to name that one.
Rango the pony. Rango the pony. Yeah, I have so much more.
Horses, ponies, donkeys.
Donkeys. You have donkeys. Why do you have
I have
donkeys?
two of them because I love them.
I'm gonna.
Literally, everyone asks me like, "What are they good for?" Like, do you rope them? I'm like, "No, I've never roped them ever, not one time."
I know where I was about to go. So you have your old horse you took to Vegas.
Yep,
One fry bread? Is that right?
fry bread,
Yeah.
fry bread.
What happens after fry bread? Do you have a plan? Do you have a plan?
So Indio is 11 this year. So he's right there. Like I took him to several jackpots last year. You probably saw the reel before I got bucked off of him at a jackpot. So we're Indio and I are ready to hit the rodeo trail now. Frybread is not retired. No matter what my mom and son say, Frybread is not retired. He
Yes.
is in his prime right now.
Yes.
But so now I've got Indio and I've got Frybread, and actually Little John. I just took him up on Saturday. A really good friend of mine has a ranch just about 20 miles north of us. And so I took Little John up there and I was like, just use him. He needs miles. I don't have a place to put miles. Like, have fun. So one of our other friends down here that we practice with just got some Jersey calves. And so as soon as he gets done being a cow pony, he gets to go be Jersey calf pony. So then I hopefully by the end of this year, we'll be able to get him at least to like some kind of small local jackpot or something or other. So
That
he's
is,
4, so he should be able to do something, right? Like,
yeah. You have it figured out. I know for me, it's like I've had this gray horse that I've rodeoed on for a while, and I'm like, she's gonna have to retire this year. because she's got some arthritis problems, and I was like, well, golly, like I don't want to die. And
Oh,
she started going lame, and I'm like, is she really lame? Like, is she really? You know what I
is she
mean?
lame or is she sore? Have some
Yeah,
butte.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So, and my sister was like, "You need to get her checked out." And I was like, "Well, let's just like in my head, I knew it was happening, but like it was one of those things, like, you know what I mean? I could push it just a little more."
Yeah,
But yeah, at least, yeah, but with that being said, I'm like finally getting to work with some more horses and getting them brought
yeah,
up. So like that's always the not fun part. But once you actually have a horse like you get going with and you actually get
yeah.
to go and go and go and go, like that's what's fun.
Yeah, that was, I mean, we were like a retirement ward for a little while because we had Harry, who at this time was like 25, Frybred, who was 19. I had my other head horse X, who was 18. And then we had a ranch horse that we'd bought who was 17. I mean, we were like a retirement ward. And so
Mhm.
we started like thinning them out. And the Indio, Little John, and Howard, I all bought in 23 because I started that first colt and I was like, oh my God, this is the most rewarding thing I've ever done with a horse.
Yep.
I never understood it. My dad always put me on finished horses or horses that like at least were like broke enough to do something. And so
Hmm.
I never had that like, and it's instantaneous reward, right?
Right.
And so and my dad broke all of our colts we raised and did everything. And so he kind of mentored me through it and is like that was the best thing ever. And so then I was like, I broke one colt and I was like, I gotta have another. So I bought three horses in 2023.
Right.
Like there went my savings account, you know what I
Right.
mean? But now,
So
now they're 3 and 4. And so I'm like, well, now I can start doing things already. I mean, we can get going, and by the time that they're 6, 7 years old, where you'd be paying 40, 50,000 for one that's finished, ready to go, but you don't know what they've had done. When mine are 6 and 7, I'll know every single thing that's been done on them. I'll know every single quirk. I'll know, you know what I mean? Like, and
yep.
they'll be a part of me.
Yep.
So
Man.
and that was like Harry. I mean, I grew up with him. And so
Mhm.
like I said, I was 7 years old the day he was born, and I remember
Yeah.
it. And I mean, it used to be a running joke of like who would get the inheritance, me or Harry.
Right.
So, and because he was the favorite child, not me.
That is so fun. That is so fun. And at least like I like how you said like you'll be able to know like at the end of the day you'll be able to know because like you'll buy horses and you'll just be like you don't know what the horse has been through. You don't and like you
Yeah.
could suspect like we have this one horse like if you go to put his hand like too close to him or like you do certain things like like that
Yeah.
horse has been beat like we've never hit that
Yes.
horse. We've never hit that horse ever, and we never.
Yeah.
But like having a horse like that where like and it's hard with those things like you don't know are they playing around like so being able to see like oh I know what this horse has been through I know and it builds a better relationship when you have them when they're young too.
Right. Yeah. And that was what, and like I said, like with my boy, like I want him to be able to have the very, very best. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I did when I was a kid. Like,
Right.
and maybe not the best horse at the jackpot, maybe not the best horse at the rodeo, but the best and safest one that I can provide him, right? And so to me, knowing everything they've been through gives me a leg up instead of going and buying a kid's horse. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we just got super lucky that Frybred is the real MVP because my son can do anything on him. He's like taking him to the junior rodeo. He ropes the sled. He, chases the lead steer, and it's fine. Like Frybred doesn't do anything silly. He's not,
Yep.
and we just got super lucky with that one.
Mhm.
But
That is
because what competitive head horse can you just throw a kid on and be like, go ahead?
yes
I mean,
very true.
there's not very many.
Yep, that is absolutely awesome. We are almost at 2 hours. I this has been the most fun podcast I've done. Like this
Oh,
has been absolutely awesome.
I
Uh,
have enjoyed it. Like I just feel like I know you. Like we're like besties, like
Yes,
sitting here on FaceTime. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. If we get enough attention on this podcast and enough people want it, we will do a part two if that's okay with PJ, we will do a part two of the podcast where we may we'll kind of see what people want to do. We may go through some of my favorite videos of yours, kind of go through, talk to them. Like we may go back to some of your first videos. Like I don't know.
Oh,
I'm prepared to go wild with it. If I get enough attention for this podcast, if I get enough people who want to do it, we will be able to make it happen. But this has been so much fun. We have a couple more questions, and we'll wrap this one up. To tell you, like, I could talk with you for another 6 hours. Like, I could. I have so much
absolutely.
to. Yes.
Absolutely.
So if that happens, we will do a part two of this podcast.
And I'll
But
wear my purple felt.
yes, please. But, the time of recording this, it's right after the new year. Do you have any goals for this next year?
So for this next year, I do. Last year I set the goal to qualify to go to Vegas. That was it. Blanket statement. So this year I want to qualify in the 9 and the 10. I've got partners lined up for both. And I am going to pull a check in Las Vegas. I'm going to pull a check, preferably a first place check, because I'm going to put it in the universe. So I
Yes.
don't care if it's first in the consolation, but I am going to pull a check in Vegas this year.
Yes. Oh, that's what you want going to work on? Now, getting a raise, pulling a check.
Yep, that's it.
Awesome. Awesome. And a question that I like to ask all the guests, I believe I've done this with every guest, and I might have missed a couple, but at the end of the day, everyone, you're gone, everyone's gone. What do you want, PJ? What do you want people to know you by? Like, what legacy do you want to leave behind? Like, when people are talking about you after you're gone, behind your back, like, what do you want people to say?
Oh man. I just want to bring joy. That's all I want. Like bring levity, bring joy, make people laugh. If I walk out of a room and somebody goes, "Man, she's funny." I've accomplished my goal.
Yep.
That's my main goal. Or like, hey, she inspired me to. I'm a girl and I'm afraid to go to the jackpots because it's all guys. Like, golly dang, that's the biggest thing
Yep.
I could
Especially
ever ask for. You know?
especially in the rodeo world, I think joy is something like obviously it's all a family and it's all like it's nothing like it's just no big hateful world. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm trying to say at all.
Right.
There's always room for joy in the rodeo. Like it,
Yep.
especially after you've lost, after you've seen something bad go down. Like rodeo is one of those things like you're pretty much on the edge of your seat most of the time. You're always kind of tense because rodeo, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how you're going to do.
Right.
It's coming down to the
Right.
seconds. Just that little bit of joy in the rodeo world makes the biggest difference. So I really do like what you do with just trying to bring the littlest bit of joy. You actually bring a lot of joy to me, but a lot of people. And I think yeah, just bring that little bit of joy that you do. It's just absolutely awesome, and I really appreciate that you do.
Thank you. That, like, honest to goodness, that means so much to me because that's it. I just want to make people happy and
Yes.
enjoy. That's all.
Yes. Well, PJ, I appreciate you taking the time to do this podcast.
Oh
I'm
my gosh.
telling you, we got to do a part two. Like, please, please, please. I want the feedback. I want to hear from people. Like, this has been
Yeah, absolutely.
fun, and I cannot wait to release this podcast. Like, I've really, really enjoyed being able to talk. Like, we have covered so much, but I think we are just on the first page of a book. Like, we got so
Yeah, there's a whole textbook.
yes, yes, there is. So I really do appreciate you taking the time to do this. Thank you, everyone who's watching. Yeah, I'm ready to hear feedback. Like as soon as it's out, I want to hear people. Let's do a part two. Let's do a part like let's do it, guys, and we will make it happen.
Or post the mean comments and I'll make a
Yes,
video.
yes, please do. Post them. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yes, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, PJ.
Thanks.